Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday night and time for In Case You Missed It, where we kind of talk about everything that's happened this week. It's been a crazy week once again. We're going to get into it, but let's say hi to a few people first. Um, Good friend Fly Rabbit got here a little early today. I think he was the first one in. Then Bobby Martin, Daryl McNeese, my good friend John Toohey, and James Cole all made it in. I'm glad y'all are here tonight. As you know, on Thursday night, we kind of recap what happened during the week. And on Tuesday night, we had a show where I brought three of my friends on and we talked with them. We can discuss that tonight if you want to. And we're going to kind of elaborate a little bit on that tonight. No matter how good of a show you think you do or don't do, when it's over, you're always going to wish that you would have said one more thing, did one more thing, something like that. I thought the show went pretty good. Was it my dream show? Exactly what I've always wanted? No, there was things I wish could have been better than what they were. I would have liked it if Chris's microphone had not messed up. But anytime you do a live show like this, you're gonna have things happen that are out of your control. And I'm bringing up control for another reason, and we're going to talk about that tonight too. Let me say hi to a few more people. Slip Dog is here. Glad you could make it. My other good friend, Joe Wentz, Project TV. Happy Thursday, my friend. Waiting on my load, then headed to Grand Strand. Wow. Looking forward to the weekend. Be safe, brother. All right, I got to ask Joe a question though while he's here because he has to pop out pretty quick. Did you get your 20 likes? For those that don't know, Joe Wentz used to do a show called Trucker, and it was kind of day in the life videos that were very well produced and very well put together, fun to watch. And he canceled them after he did a few of them. And the other night he did a quick live and he said, "Hey, if I get 20 likes, um, then I'm going to bring that series back," which, no secret, that's one of my favorite YouTube things to watch. And so I'm curious if he got the 20 likes. If he didn't, maybe we can push him over the 20 tonight. So Sean says, "Good show on Tuesday." Thank you. I appreciate that. And my good friend Ted says, "Hello, Mr. Todd. Hope your day is going well." Yes, sir. The right way to truck is here. Hey, man, thank you. All right. Well, I look forward to those videos then. I'm glad they're coming back. I know they're a time-consuming headache to make, but they really are fun to watch. All right, so let's talk about control for a second. OTR Vic is here again. Great to have you here, man. So a lot of people think when they get their own authority, or when they get, when they get to where they're running the spot market, they think that they're not going to have to answer to anybody. They're going to be in control. And no matter what level you get to, and I don't care if you own a mega carrier, you're still going to answer to somebody. It may be the FMCSA, it may be the IRS, it may be customers that you pull freight for, but you're always going to have somebody that you've got to answer to. And so if your reason for doing it is, well, I just won't have to put up with anybody's baloney anymore, you're always going to have baloney. Now, any of you that have ever ran the spot market know that the biggest baloney of all is almost every one of these brokers has a tracking app, and almost every one of those tracking apps doesn't work. And they count it against you if you're not being tracked, and they call you. Some of them call you 3 or 4 times a day, and you don't even know the app's not working half the time. I had that happen this morning. Um, I was uh, I was on a load for a broker, and for the benefit of this video, let's call it broker XYZ. And I was pulling a load for broker XYZ. I was at the delivery place delivering it. My next load was also going to be with that same broker XYZ. And I get a phone call from the owner of the company that the tracking app's not working. And I had done everything I could do and I couldn't get it to work. And, I'll say this, that maybe it's these videos or I don't know what it is, but this isn't the first time this has happened, not with him, but where people underestimate me. And I've talked about this in other videos. And I got pretty frustrated today because I took it like he was saying I didn't know what I was doing. He had another driver call me, and I'm not real sure that that driver has as much load board experience as I do. I don't know. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Nice guy. Don't have anything against him, but it was pretty frustrating. The guy that called me, he's like, "Yeah, Todd, I agree with you. You've done everything you can do." Well, come to find out, broker XYZ was able to track me from their end, but the owner of the company couldn't see that they were able to track me on his end. And our contact person we normally deal with is off until Tuesday. His, I believe, sister's getting married. And so it's just, it's a little frustrating because these apps, none of them work. And these brokerage companies rely so heavily on them. And, today I got a little frustrated because I know what I'm doing, and my wife will do the same thing sometimes. I hate to bring her up in my video, but sometimes I'll be doing something trucking related, and she'll tell me something, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing, and it always ticks her off when I say that. But I do. I know what I'm doing. I didn't survive out here 26 years driving a truck. People wouldn't call me for advice all the time, and you wouldn't see all the comments of people saying I helped them if I didn't know what I was doing. Now, uh, you guys know in any type of situation, I try to look at the other person's perspective. And so, as I was driving today, I was kind of thinking about it, and I see it from the owner's perspective too. He's got 5 or 6 trucks, and he's risking a lot. It doesn't take very many screw ups for a company that size for a broker to say, uh, we're going to pause our activity with you for a while. For example, you guys know one of the companies I formerly worked for that I had load board access. Uh, they've refused to take me off of their load boards. They're hoping I come back at some point. And I got an email today, and on one of their brokerage accounts, they've been uh, they've been suspended. I guess was what it was. I think it was for 14 days because of service failures and things like that. And they're a lot bigger than the 5 or 6 trucks we got here. So I get why he's apprehensive, why he's nervous, why he wants to make sure I got my ducks in a row. He doesn't know me from Adam. He hasn't seen all the videos and doesn't know, all the things I've done. So maybe it's fair for him to be that way. Maybe I'd be worse than him if I was in his position. I'm sure you guys know that from time to time I can be a worrier, and so maybe I would have reacted the same way. I would like to say that I was professional and handled everything exactly like I want to, but I got kind of upset today, and probably shouldn't have. And it worked out for now, but yeah, it's just frustrating. And if you think that, and I get these calls all the time, if you think that, oh, when you get your truck, all your problems are going to go away, or oh, if you could just get on with this company, all your problems are going to go away. And I want you to realize that you're still going to, it should be common sense. We should all know this, but you're still going to have issues. I don't care how high up you get in life. And so keep that in mind. And DIY Semi is here tonight. I just watched one of his videos. It was an old one, but he was talking about a truck, and I really liked that truck. I want to say it was a Mac. It was a couple of days ago when I watched it. And I think the video was about a year old, but it was a really good video. I just don't remember the details. Everybody calls me and says, "Hey, check this out, check that out," and it all runs together in my head after a while. But I do remember it being about a truck and a really good video. Oh, it's just the normal stuff of trucking, and it always happens at a stressful time. I was trying to deliver this morning, and back into a dock, and uh, broker XYZ is calling, the company's calling. I had a couple of viewers calling, and I'm trying to concentrate on the most important thing, which is backing in the dock and not hitting nothing. And then I'll call all these people back, and so you know, I say all that to just I want people to have realistic expectations. And I had two guys call me today that they were trying to decide what company to go to, and I uh, I pointed them to two companies that I've never, actually three companies that I've never worked for. I said, call these three companies. I've heard a lot of good things about them. And I'm waiting to hear back from them how it goes. I said, let me know how it works out over there. But when you're in these situations and you're really frustrated about a situation, um, seems like the people that call you that need to call you call you. I had two guys call me. One of them I'd never talked to before, and one of them was my good friend Tim Back, that's usually in here, and they both did a really good job of um, calming me down, getting me laughing, and I when the owner did call me back, he's like, "Hey, I know you was upset later. Is everything all right?" And I was telling him, I was like, "Yeah, when I get in these leather air conditioned seats and I start cruising down the road, it's a good attitude adjuster for me. I calm down, I get things back in perspective." And I've had this conversation with a dispatcher before, and I asked him, I said, "What's the hardest part about your job?" And he said, "The hardest part is you can say something to a driver, and it might not even be that bad." And he said, "But then that driver drives for 10 hours that day or 11 hours that day, and he thinks about it all day while he's driving. And by the time he gets parked, he's fighting mad." And he said, "You never know what you're going to say that's going to set somebody off." He said, "You don't know what kind of personal problems they're having at home, what kind of financial problems they're having." And he said, "So you got to be real careful how you say things." And I realized today that the situation that was going on was nobody's fault. I wasn't doing anything wrong. The owner of the company definitely wasn't doing anything wrong. And honestly, the broker wasn't doing anything wrong. But still, we had a situation, and it'll get fixed one way or another. There'll be some IT guy somewhere that'll figure it out. But it's probably one of those situations that I just need to take a deep breath, calm down, maybe walk around the truck a couple of times, and go from there. But I've heard so many people say, "I'm sick of my dispatcher. I want to get a truck so I don't have to put up with them no more." No, what happens is you replace your dispatcher for a broker, and you've got to treat that broker. I'm not saying kiss up to them, but you gotta have kid gloves on. You can't be abusive to them or condescending to them, because those are the same guys you're going to call and try to negotiate rates with. And so a lot of people choose trucking because they don't have a lot of people skills. They like to be alone in the truck. But to do these type, you really got to have some type of people skills in trucking to deal with your dispatchers, to deal with the office staff, to deal with shippers and receivers and things like that. And I just wanted to bring that up tonight because I don't know. I don't know how many people uh, are aware of that when they jump in. My good friend Manny is here tonight. Hey man, glad you could make it. Also another good friend. I got to come up with a name for you guys. On YouTube, I read a lot of books about how to do a YouTube channel, and One thing they said is that you need to come up with a name for your audience. And, I've never done that because in this day and age, any name you come up with offends somebody. And so I've never done it. But I find myself calling more and more of you friends because more and more of you call me. And so I don't know. Maybe at some point we need to come up with a nickname for the group. Did something just hit me? I just heard something pop. Oh, I'm paranoid in these truck stops. It's bad when the most dangerous part of your job is parking in a truck stop. Until brokers get comfortable with you, they will watch you like a hawk. Yeah, I had several that I worked with when when I worked at Dart, especially. Some of them I've still got their phone numbers and still talk to them occasionally. You might remember a couple of weeks ago, one of them I worked with when I was at Roadrunner came in the video and just wanted to see how I was doing. He had moved to Pennsylvania and was doing something different now. But yeah, I made a lot of good friends that way. But in this day and age, a lot of them, even if you're their brother, they're still going to track you and watch you closely just because that's company policy. And I'm fine with that. The problem is, you guys might remember that video I did a while back on the Rand McNally GPS. And it tries to do a lot of things and it doesn't do any of them well. It does a few of them okay. It tries to be a satellite radio. It tries to be a GPS. It tries to be a tablet. And it tries to do all these things and it doesn't do any of them very well, but it does all of them okay. And I think that's the problem with these tracking apps that these brokers want to use. It does what they want it to do most of the time, but it it doesn't do it as well as what they think it should or think it would. And what they ended up doing to fix my situation today is they had me download yet another app and an alternative app, and they're tracking me on that app, I think. But then when the owner called them, they said, no, 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 we've got him on the original app. So somewhere between the two apps, maybe they're double tracking me. The one thing it will do is drain your battery. So I've got one phone that I just use for brokers and things like that. And I try to keep it plugged in all the time because if you got 4 or 5 apps tracking you, it will suck your cell phone battery down. Good evening, Michael. Glad you could make it. Well, I'm all approved with that company I told you about. Start on the 26th. Well, congratulations, Ted. Um, as a matter of fact, it is one of the 3 companies that I recommended to those 2 guys today. And I'm kind of going off what you told me and what other guys told me, that team I talked to. But, I don't have any firsthand knowledge there. But I hope you'll kind of let me know how it goes. And I'm glad that you got on over there like you wanted. Hey, Russell, thanks for being in. Exactly. Exactly. Every day will not be sunshine and rainbows. And you need that. Yeah, think about it like this. If every day was sunshine and rainbows, think of how sick of you'd get of being happy all the time. You would get bored with it, believe it or not. It's like I like to think, man, I'd like to be retired. And then you talk to guys that retire, and after 2 or 3 years, they're either dead or they can't wait to go back to work. They're like, yeah, I went fishing, I did this, I did that. After a while, I got bored and I just went back to work. My dispatcher and I work together on loads. I have the final say, and I'm a company driver. Well, that's how it should be as a company driver. I mean, that's the ideal situation, and that's how it used to be at a lot of companies. Now, a lot of companies will say, and I'm talking to you company drivers now. They'll say you're not forced dispatch, but you turn down a load, and you better have a good reason. It can't be because, oh, I just don't want to do it. You better be low in hours. Your truck better be broke down. You better be scheduled for home time, something like that. Or they're going to blackball you and you're not going to get good loads for a few days or something like that. But it sounds like James is at a good job as a company driver. Procter and Gamble, Kimberly Clark. These are hot loads. Sometimes I've pulled some that had all kinds of time on them. It just it just depends how bad they need it at the other end. Here lately, everything I've pulled has had a decent amount of time on it, and it's worked out good because like yesterday, I was on a little 2-lane road in where was I? I want to say I was in Ohio, and come up to some railroad tracks. A train blocked the tracks for over 2 hours. I'm on a little 2-lane road, trucks in front of me, trucks behind me. We couldn't make a U-turn and go back or nothing. We were just stuck there. And before you guys start throwing snowballs at me and saying, "Well, you should have been on your CB," um, nobody knew. It was the train had just stopped when I got there. There was no way to know that was going to happen. So I sat there for almost 2.5 hours, and I didn't think trains were supposed to be able to hold up traffic that long, but they sure did yesterday. And but like you say, there's going to be something all the time, and I still think I'm at a really good company, and I'm still pretty happy here. I was telling that guy Tim earlier today. I've got I'm back to having everything I've wanted, achieving all my goals except a paid off truck. And I'll have that one day, but everything else is there. And uh, now I'd be lying to you guys if I didn't occasionally throw in a gripe, but I'm very happy here. Don't misunderstand that. Good evening, Jonah. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate that. What do I think about a 2019 International with the Cummins engine? I like Cummins. Same thing with PACCAR. I believe, and I'm fixing to get chewed out for this. I believe all the manufacturers are building pretty good trucks right now. I believe all of them, the engine choices that are available are really good right now. A lot of them, well, let's not lie, all of them, especially a few years ago, had emissions problems with the DEF system, with the EGRs, things like that. But they seem like they've greatly improved them. Now, hear me, I didn't say they're perfect, but they're the best they've ever been since they started putting that junk on there. So I wouldn't be afraid of a 2019 Cummins if you have the ability. Try to get an oil sample test and see what the internals of the engine look like. Try to get a download of the engine, see what the history looks like on it, lifetime mile per gallon, things like that. Try to do a rig dig on it, which is like a Carfax for trucks. Get as much information as you can, and all those things cost money. So I realize you may not be able to do it if it's a lease purchase. You may not be able to do it, but just try to get as much information as you can. I've done something, and I'm ashamed to admit this. I've gone through a truck, especially a lease purchase truck in the permit book, and a lot of times the driver will leave something in there with his name and phone number on it, and I'll call him. I'll say, "Hey, I'm leasing this truck you used to have. Would you mind telling me what you thought about it? Was it a good truck? Was it a piece of junk? Or what am I getting myself into?" And they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, it was a great truck. I just didn't like my dispatcher," or "It was a great truck, but I just couldn't get the miles I need," or "I was having personal problems at home." So then I kind of know what I'm getting into. They might give you some information that's real helpful, like, "Hey, when the fuel gauge gets to half a tank, you're empty," and or something like that. "When it gets to a quarter of a tank, you're empty." Or, "If the air conditioner acts up, do this and it'll start working again." So if you can get a hold of the person that had the truck before you, that's also a lot of great information to have. As we speak today, I printed out all the stuff the dealership did to my truck prior to me getting it, and they did quite a bit of work. Why is that handy? Well, if I break down in the next few weeks and I go to a dealership and they say, "Hey, Todd, we think it's this," I can show them that deal and say, "I'd be surprised if it's that. This was just changed a few weeks ago." And that kind of helps them in the diagnostic process. Or if it's a wiring type issue or something, they can go, oh, well, maybe they screwed up on that harness or something. Let's go look at this. And so it is good information to have, especially if you run into problems. No problem, Chris. I'm glad you're here. So Chris had sent me an email, and I replied to him today. I try to get to some of you as quick as I can. Sometimes here lately I've been busy because I'm not going to lie to you about the spot market. I'm spending 2 or 3 hours a day looking at load boards, trying to pick the very best loads. And so sometimes it can take me a little while to get to an email, or if I miss your phone call or something like that. But I never intentionally avoid anybody. If we get to that point, I'll just block you. So if you leave me a message, and voicemails are great for those of you that have my number, I will call you back as soon as I see that voicemail. Sorry, I'm eating French fries at the same time. That's something else I want to talk about in a minute. I need a new career, went on vacation for 3 weeks and dreaded going back to work. Yeah, for the first 20 years, I drove a truck. I ain't gonna lie, I absolutely did not like it. And the last 4 years, I've loved it. And so that can change. Sometimes the 3 weeks off will make you love it, and sometimes it'll make you determine that you need to do something else. I used to miss selling cars really bad, and I've kind of got over that now. I'm getting to where I like doing this. I like driving a truck. I like doing the YouTube thing. I like talking to you guys on the phone and through email and text and things like that. So like I was telling Tim earlier today, I really am doing exactly what I want to do, minus paying a truck payment. I don't like making a truck payment, just like I don't like making a car payment or a house payment. But sometimes that's what you got to do. Yeah, yeah. I would say that it leads to a lot of safety problems. You know, everybody's worried about safety. Well, different people respond differently. If you tell me it's a hot load, I'm going to react differently than you might. I'll do my best to get it there as quick as I can, but I'm going to do it safely. I'm not going to cheat on my logbook. I'm not going to excessively speed. I'm not going to do things like that. But there's some guys that if you tell them it's a hot load, they're going to panic, and it makes things a lot less safe. It'd be a lot better if you just reschedule the load. If they want it on Tuesday, they'll want it worse on Wednesday, and that's just the truth of it. If it's hot right now, it'll cool off quickly in a ditch when you wreck. And so, uh, I think uh, I think you should do your best to get it there. And I'm a timely guy. I used to get a message from Swift every month, 100% on time pickup and delivery. Thank you for what you do. And so it's important to me, but I'm not going to risk my life or my safety or anything else. You only do what you do. And some guys, they'll get up in these snowstorms and they'll push themselves past what they should because, oh, it's got to get there. There's an appointment at 8 a.m. And then they find themselves in a bad situation. And then the broker and the company they're with are like, well, you should have parked. We want you to be safe, after they were telling them the night before, go, go, go. And a lot of these companies, I'm not going to call any names, that pull the day cab, that have the day cab with the little pups behind them, the doubles. You always see them in a ditch in a snowstorm, and they say, "Oh, well, we can pull over. They don't force us to run." Well, then why don't they? Why don't they pull over? Why do they risk their lives? Why do they risk the safety of themselves and others? Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. You're welcome, Shane. Thank you for coming in and watching tonight. Yes, I am driving again. I started this past Friday, started orientation on Thursday. We went like 13 hours. Um, my starter went out in his driveway and he helped. Well, actually, I helped him put a starter on it. He did the majority of the work. Um, had some of the best food I've ever had. Had a very detailed, very good orientation where we went line by line through the contract. There was ample opportunity to ask questions, and even though we rushed it in a day and a half, it didn't feel rushed. I said in Tuesday's video, it was the best and the worst orientation I've ever had. The best because everything went right. The worst because my truck broke down in his driveway. So that was a little embarrassing. But so far, I'm happy as I could be. I love working here. And that's why I just started to not even mention what happened today because I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Um, if I came on every video and said everything's perfect here, we never have a problem, then you guys would know I was lying to you because none of us work for a company where everything's perfect and you never have a problem. And I really view myself as an umpire calling balls and strikes. And when things are great, I'm going to tell you, hey, things are great. And when they're bad, I'm going to tell you things are bad. And I think that's why a lot of people watch is they know I'm going to be honest with them. Did you get a chance to talk to Chris about that SFI truck yet? If he could reach out to me, that would be great. I sent him the I forwarded him the email prior to replying to your email. Because of how the day went, I didn't get a chance to talk to him yet. Um, but I will. I'll contact him after the show and make sure he got the email. I've been having some email problems too. Everything's been kind of glitchy this week, and I talked to some other people, and they said they're having the same issues. Seems like Verizon's having a lot of trouble, and today AT&T was on the fritz for me. You guys know I have Verizon and AT&T, and it's for that reason because one will work and one won't usually. I'm here, my friend. Hey, Tim, we were just talking about you. The first 30 minutes of the show, I was talking about our phone conversation today. I'm glad you're here, my friend. Brokers don't give a crap about drivers or your time or needs on the road. Yeah, but I mean, you could flip that around too. Do drivers care about their needs or things like that? We all kind of get that me first attitude and screw everybody else as long as I get what I want. That's like there's people saying the brokers are screwing us on rates, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't. There's some of it's in their control and some of it's out of their control. But a few months ago, when people were getting $3 and $4 a mile, and drivers were screwing the brokers, were we going, oh, those poor brokers? And so, um, it's a me first world. I'm sure. Now let me see how I want to say this. The owner of the company, I think he does care because, like I said, he helped me put the starter on and stuff like that. But you can bet, no matter how much he cares, if I wasn't a profitable driver, he'd probably start to care a lot less. And same thing, I might think he's a great guy, but if I couldn't make money here because he had a ridiculous policy or something like that, I might decide we're not that good of friends. So everybody's doing whatever kind of work they do because it benefits them. And they're always going to feed number one before they worry about anybody else. Hey, Todd, glad you're running again. You had a rough stretch. Great show Tuesday. Take care. Thanks, RCE. I appreciate that. Yeah, even today, the owner was kind of laughing because he's like, every day it's something with you. Today it's this app. And I knew he was joking, so I didn't take offense to that. But I was like, well, you got a point. Yeah, me too. And some of that comes with knowing your equipment. For example, this truck, since I just got it, I've had it about 3 weeks, but I hadn't really drove it. I say that I have drove it a lot, but it's been bobtail mostly. Um, from Dubuque, Iowa back to Texas, from Texas to orientation. And so I've put some miles on it. But if I hit a snowstorm real bad right now, I'd park it because I'm still learning this truck. And Now, if I've had it 2 or 3 years and I know it like the back of my hand, maybe I'll drive through a little bit more than what I normally would. But just booze cab over. I actually would love a flat floor cab over if I could find one in good condition. I think y'all have heard me say that before. The very first truck I ever drove was a 1985 Peterbilt cab over. And man, I'd love to have one of those trucks now. I don't know if I could get it hired on anywhere, but man, I like that truck. And then the last few years that cab overs were really here, JB Hunt had some flat floor cab overs, and those were super nice. After you back a cab over, you won't want to drive nothing else. Of course, the downside to it is if you do ever have an accident, you're the first one there. Yeah, I will rewatch the beginning after the show so I can hear you talking about me. Yeah, it was all good. It don't watch it if it's going to inflate your ego though. Driving a truck is not for everyone. I've been driving 27 years and I love doing it. Must be in my blood. Yeah, you and I must have started about the same time. I started in December of 96, December 3rd to be exact. And yeah, I think, and maybe some of it comes with age. When you get older, you start wanting different things in life. And so now I'm glad I drive a truck. Swift offered me an OTR job and will give me 3 weeks training. Not sure if that would be enough training. Well, the one thing I can say is, A, I agree with you. 3 weeks is not enough training. And B, if you're on their training program and either you or the trainer feels like you're not ready, they will extend that training. So at the end of 3 weeks, you're going to want to be in a truck by yourself, and you're going to possibly tell yourself you're better than what you are. But look at yourself seriously and have a good conversation with your trainer. And if you need 2 or 3 more weeks, take them. I don't think 6 weeks is enough, to be honest. But that's considered a long time now, 6 or 8 weeks worth of training. But just if you don't feel ready, don't feel like you're letting anybody down. Just tell them, hey, I need a little more time. If I can't do a load safely and don't have to rush, I don't book the load. I'm captain of the ship. Yeah, and stuff can happen along the way. And brokers and companies, most of them understand that, or at least they should. Like that load that I mentioned yesterday, that I got stuck waiting on a train for 2 hours on a little 2-lane road. If I would have needed more time, I could have called and they'd have probably rescheduled the load or worked me in. But I was still able to make it. And so it worked out. But a lot of guys would have pushed a little harder than what they should have. And the thing is to just tell the truth. If you overslept, say, hey, I overslept. And they're not going to like that answer, but they'll understand it better than if you lied to them and say, oh, I had a flat tire. Because some of these brokers, they'll say, well, send me an invoice. I want to see where you paid for a flat repair. Or I had a dead battery. Send me an invoice. I want to see where Love's had to come boost you off or something. And so if you just tell the truth, you don't have to worry about what you've said or try to remember what you said or something like that. Off the top of, if my top head got any bigger, it wouldn't be much weight. It would be too much weight to carry. So I tend to not get blown about. Yeah, Tim, I was just talking about how when I talked to you today, I was a little frustrated, and you kind of talked me down, got me laughing, got me in a good mood. It's a 1980 KW, $800 is what I paid. Man, that if it runs, especially even if it don't run good, if it runs at all, that'd that'd be a great truck to tinker with in your spare time. Like I said, you could probably never lease it on to anywhere, but you might could turn it into a show truck or something like that, or sell it on an online auction and make you some money. For Swift, after 3 weeks, they will give you an upgrade test. If you don't pass, they will. Yeah, that's the other part of it. So, but you can voluntarily tell them you want more training. But if you say you're ready, the trainer says you're ready, you still take that upgrade test. And if you fail it, you're getting more training, even if everybody thinks you're ready. And I know a guy that actually failed it, and he knew his stuff, but he was just so nervous that he amped himself up. Second time, he wasn't nervous and he passed it easily because he knew what to expect. Hey, Trigger Todd, I have your old truck. That's awesome, man. It's a good truck. Um, I had a driver that told me that it wasn't Lancaster for a long time, and he said they took it. So I figured somebody got into it. What are you thinking about it so far? You like it? After 3 weeks training at Swift, you may have top seniority at the company. One more question for Jordan before we go into more comments. How did you know it was my truck? Was that one of their selling points? This is Trucker Todd's truck. James Cole said something up ahead, slow on I-40 in Oklahoma. Yeah, it seems like they always have a lot of wrecks up there. Slipdog thought that was funny, Tim. Anybody heading east on I-40 in Oklahoma, there's some kind of big slowdown there. We can be like Sirius XM. News, weather, and traffic every 15 minutes. Hey, Trucker Todd, I'd like to pick your brain about what to offer a driver to come drive, have my own authority, and about to put another truck and trailer on the road. Okay, sure. Email me and we'll talk about it. I'll try to give you some ideas. Um, the easiest way to do it is, and this comes with knowing your numbers, and I would base a lot of it on this guy that I'm working for now. Kind of do a role reversal and think about if you was hiring on at a company, what would you want, and also think about what you would expect as the owner of the company. And keep in mind, this is where knowing your numbers is going to be real important because you don't want to give away the farm. And I've told this story. I worked for a company called Hogue Enterprises in the mid 2000s in Denver, Colorado. And they wanted to start a lease purchase, and me and another guy sit down and made their lease purchase contract. And I'll be honest, the contract was very beneficial to me and not very beneficial to the company. And I made a lot of money for about 6 or 8 weeks. And then the company went out of business. Now, I know and you know that the company going out of business didn't go out because 5 or 6 lease purchase contracts. However, it probably didn't help either. So that would be what I'd say about that. And we can talk more if you want to email me, Todd at truckertodd.net. But try to think of what you'd want as if you were a driver, and then try to figure out if you could offer it with that and still make yourself a healthy profit as well. And I can tell you, the owner of this company that I'm at, he's got things that he wants to add in the future as he grows and as he can. On day one with one truck, you're not going to be able to give the farm, but I would say be very selective about who you hire. If you could hire somebody you know or somebody that you trust, interview them really closely. This guy that I'm working for, several interviews, both on the phone, in person. He flew to Lubbock with his wife, which his wife is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I told him when we was doing that starter, I said, I can't imagine ever having an argument with her. She's just a really nice person. But yeah, especially with one truck, it's going to be tough to do all the things you want to do. But as you grow and things, maybe you can add more of what you want and tell that to your driver. Say, hey, I can't do everything I'd like to on day one, but if you'll stick with me, better things are coming. And a really good driver will hang in there with you. Going to restore it and use it for local pickup and delivery. Man, that'd be cool. The only thing about a cab over is, especially one of the older ones like the 80s, it's like rock climbing to get in it. You basically climb the wall of the truck. Now, some of the later ones, the flat floor cab overs, they had steps that air slid out and you just walked up steps. Those weren't so bad. But the early cab overs, it's like rock climbing up the side of the wall. And you do that 10 or 12 times a day, and your knees will be, uh, you'll have knees this big around. My first truck was a Snyder International 88 cab over. I miss those trucks. Yeah, I remember those trucks. We were jealous because I was at Swift and we ran 57 miles an hour. And if I remember correctly, Snyder ran like 65. And we thought, oh, it would be so cool if we could go uh, 65 like those pumpkin trucks. Maybe they're slower than that. I thought it was 65. Maybe they were like 62 or 63. Anyway, I know they could pass us. Gary started October 95, so he's got about a year. Actually, he's got about 14 months on me. Thank you, Logic. I was wondering if you was here. I hadn't seen you comment lately. I'm glad you're here, my friend. I know where a 79 Pete cab over is. They want a little bit more for it. Yeah, if they're nice, they want a lot for them. Some of them are 40 and $50,000 nice. It definitely will be percentage pay. Oh, and I know my numbers. I drive a truck and trailer. It's 100% paid for. So you're ahead of the game. You should be in good shape because you don't have all that overhead. Um, so are you going to let them pick their loads, or are you going to dispatch them? Because I think that'd make a difference too. For example, and I get in trouble every time I talk about this. Some of you guys want me to start my own trucking company in a few years. And if I did, it would be self dispatch, but I would want to have a training class where I taught people how to do it, what to look for. I wouldn't just turn them loose. Now, there's some guys like Tim, it might be a 5 minute training. And then there's some guys that have never done it that it might be a 2 day training. And, but I would definitely, I would come up with some type of class to teach people because they can make you or break you. And I gave you an example. One of the companies I used to work for that I still have access to their load boards, they're in jeopardy of losing some of their brokers because of drivers. And Cloud Trucks is another company I looked at. Their MC number has a terrible reputation with a lot of brokers. And so a lot of brokers won't, you can look online and see drivers say, oh, this broker won't work with Cloud. Not bad mouthing Cloud, don't know that much about them, but just know that some drivers have really put them in a precarious situation. I'm doing good. Fearless, how are you? Yeah, that helps. And the more you can get, the better. And the reason is, if you have one truck that's at home, one truck that's in the shop, you've still got some revenue coming in. If you're just a one or two truck outfit and something like that happens, you've got no revenue while your guys are not moving. And the guy I work for, he's got like 5 or 6 trucks, and he still drives a truck. He's actually got a pretty nice Volvo 780. I believe it's a 780. It's a nice truck. Girlfriend on the phone, so I'll rewatch the show. Have a good one. Tim, do you mean you'd rather talk to your girlfriend than watch me? I'm so disappointed. No, I get it, man. All right, have a good night. We'll see you. Yeah, sure. I'll email you my phone number and we'll talk. It may be tomorrow, but we'll talk and see if we can figure it out. I'll do is I'll give you some things that I would want, and then you can tell me some ideas you had, and between the two of us, maybe we can figure out something for your operation. At first, I will dispatch. They will have full access to the boards after they show cred. Hang on. I'm having signal problems. I hope. All right, let's see here. If you don't know what you're doing, you can rent an MC. Yeah, that's what's happening to that company I used to work for, and several others that are doing the self dispatches. And I think it's a training thing. I don't think these drivers are doing it on purpose, but I think that they're hurting these companies bad. And like you said, it doesn't take but just a few instances to ruin an MC number. Nope, 15K. There you go. And yeah, that's you know, I'm trying to think of how I want to say this, but it it's not just that they suspend you for 14 days or something like that. Some of the apps, when you bid on a load, it says they base your rate on your performance with the company. So if the company I'm working for is got a good rating with them, they're going to get paid more potentially on a load than if the company I used to work for has been on and off of probation because of violations and things like that. Waiting patiently to go to Swift. Well, there you go. And it does take a while to get hired there. It's the exact opposite of what I thought. Actually, I figured a mega carrier would be easy to go to, but actually, mega carriers can be fairly difficult to get hired onto, and it is uh, a process, and they're not going to alter it for you or me or anybody else. And so you just got to be patient and till everything goes through. Man, they're just winning a nice cab over. Sorry, squirrel, but yeah, it'll be worth it. Swift was not a bad outfit. Uh, I just I had that Volvo that was sitting in storage, and I really wanted to run the spot market again, and so that's what I did. I knew the day I went there, and they knew the day I went there that at some point I was going to return to the spot market, and they had hoped to keep me longer with their load board, but as the load board developed and more details come out with it, I saw that it wasn't going to be as advertised, and I just wanted to go do my own thing again. And that's what I'm doing now. Have you seen what C.H. Robinson started doing? Point system, late loads, and tracking will make it where you have to wait hours before you can book. Yeah, JB Hunt does something similar. They have, and I think several of them are doing it now. It'll say, like JB Hunt will say, you have to be elite status to bid on a load, or you can wait like 40 minutes. I think they give the loads to the elite people like an hour before everybody else can get them. But I don't really see that big of an advantage to it. And the reason is usually the rates start out pretty low since they just put it up there. And as it gets closer to pickup time, the more flexible they get. So I don't know that if I was an elite status JB Hunt driver that I'd have that much advantage over just a regular JB Hunt guy. Now, there is, I guess, this advantage. Say they had a load come up on there that was taking me home and I needed to get home for a doctor's appointment, then yeah, I might could bid on it an hour before anybody else could. But that'd be about the only advantage I would think. Hey, I actually caught you finally on a live. Hey, Speed Shifter, I'm glad you made it, man. Speed Shifter, I got a question for you. Didn't you tell me you have a YouTube channel? I was thinking you did. If you did, tell me what the name of your channel is and I'll go check it out. I got to turn the APU up. It's getting warm in here. Never never let them see you sweat. All righty. I usually book a week out in this market. It sucks when you see a load you need and have to wait 6 hours to book. Yeah, I'm booked out through right now. I'm looking for something on Tuesday, but I like to be booked out about a week too. The only thing about that, and Swift called that stacking. The only thing bad about stacking yourself is if you have a mechanical issue, it kind of domino affects all your loads. But I like to do that too. I can plan where to buy fuel and things like that better if I know where I'm going to be. And there's a lot of guys that don't know how to do that. They don't calculate their hours when they do it. And so you have to know, I guess you have to be able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. And some guys can do it and some can't. Hey, Speed Shifter coming in with the donation. I appreciate that. Thanks for the information and your time, buddy. Go buy a cheeseburger on me. Yeah, ain't it sad how much food costs now? Uh, I ate at Denny's twice during a 34-hour break, and I was amazed what it cost me. But thank you very much. I appreciate when you guys do this. I know I say it every time, but I just want to reiterate it's not expected or required, but it's always appreciated. And I thank y'all a lot. It There's a lot of expense with YouTube, getting cameras, getting lights, StreamYard, things like that. And when you guys do stuff like this, it helps offset the cost. And so I am grateful. I'm grateful to each and every one of you for the time y'all devote, but I appreciate when y'all do this too. Don't have a channel yet. Well, there you go, Speed Shifter. I told you I wanted to come on and speak about my paid off SFI truck and running under. Oh yeah, yeah. The next time we circle around and talk about SFI, I'll keep you in mind. I'll tell you what the problem would be is the ideal show would be get you and Chris Bollinger on here together, and y'all could kind of do the pros and cons of SFI. But I don't want it to turn into a screaming match or a Jerry Springer episode where you two are inviting each other to meet at a truck stop somewhere and slug it out. So if we could set it up where everybody would be civil to each other and we could have a good, productive conversation, and it needs to be productive where all three of us get to speak and all three of us get to be heard. If we could figure out a way to do that, I'd be okay with doing it maybe sometime next month. I'll pitch the idea to Chris next time I see him and or hear or talk to him and we'll see what he says. It was my fault. I was arguing with the ex-wife and missed my ramp to the scale, so I gotta wait for that. Ah, okay. Hard to believe that a truck driver would be arguing with their ex-wife. So what they get you for blowing a scale? Yeah, the truck has been awesome. It we got that after we got the starter fixed. I haven't had any issues. Well, I say that I've had one issue. The APU heat is not working, and I had a cold night the other night, and I believe it just has those water shutoff valves, and I just need to turn those on. I don't think it's anything major. I hadn't got under there and done it yet. I figure I'm gonna have a lot more hot days than cold days. Why would you book out a week in advance? The rates go up the last minute. That is true. The problem is right now, as soon as a good load goes on there, people are grabbing them, and they're grabbing them so fast they're not even reading them. And so, I mean, a lot of times the good paying stuff is gone in 30 seconds. And like I was talking about, a lot of guys aren't able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. So they're not looking a week out or a week and a half out. And so sometimes you can snag one going a little further out. But yeah, I agree with you, especially JB Hunt. If they've got a load that didn't get picked up, the next day it'll come on there at a little bit better rate. And sometimes they're a little bit more willing to negotiate. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I really do. And in a normal market, you're right. Booking last minute can be good. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Let me go back to his comment. So I've got a load that delivers Monday in Albuquerque, and I think I've got a load booked for Tuesday. But if you wait to the last minute, Albuquerque is kind of a low freight area. So if I wait to the last minute, I may get something better, but I may also end up with nothing. And it's kind of a gamble you take. Yeah, it's not Swift's fault you have to wait. Uh, but that does stink. I'd like to hear that story sometime too, what DOT told you. And I bet they gave you the treatment, went through probably level one inspection and everything. That SFI gig would be great. I honestly speaking, I'm not that big a deal, a big a fan of it, and I'll tell you why. Unless you don't have any other options, and the reason is the payments are just so high. Now there's some benefits, 3 year payout or 3 year lease, things like that. But most guys are paying like 12 or 1300 a week. I'm paying 695 a week. Round me up to 700. That means each week I start out with a $600 head start. That means in 52 weeks I have over a $30,000 head start. If we ran the exact same loads the whole year, I made $30,000 more than an SFI driver did. Now, this kind of goes back to a debate I had on another podcast. I'm sure a lot of you saw it. They're in a new truck. They've got factory warranty. There's definitely some benefit to that. Theoretically, they're going to break down less than me, but still, I've got a $30,000 head start each year. Over 3 years, that's nine. Over their 3 year lease, that's $90,000 head start. I could almost buy the truck they're in for what I saved in payments in that 3 years. So there are competing philosophies, and I'll be honest with you. In the ideal world, I'd love to have a brand new truck that was paid off, but we have to live in the real world. And right now, I'm in a truck that's 3 years old, almost 4 years old, because the 2024s are coming out, and I'm happy with it. Oh no, I'd always be productive, and it's all pros and cons and real. I'm not trying to convince anyone. Just share. Yeah, we'll see if he's interested in doing something like that. I I know he's made one YouTube video on his own, but I don't know how many lives he's done or what his interest is in that. But maybe sometime next month we could put something like that together. I'll sure have a conversation with him about it. Let's see here. As a company driver, 12 to 1400 seems low. Yeah, I guess it depends what you're doing. It, I've said it in other videos. If you make $600 a week and you're happy, then I'm happy for you. But if you make $1,500 a week and you're not happy, then I'm going to try to help you make more money. And that's what I'd say. There's people that are perfectly content making 12 to 1400 a week. They don't have to worry about truck payments, truck maintenance, nothing like that. There's definitely some advantages to being a company driver, and I think most people actually should be a company driver. I think way too many people are doing lease purchases and leases in general that should have never been doing one. Um, so, but yeah, that's I mean, I don't know. It's whatever number you come up with. Everybody always says, "Well, that's low. You should be making more." And maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. James Cole says, "I cook my own food, save a lot." Yeah, there's a guy. I don't know if he's in here. Uh, I don't know if he's in here right now. Scorpion Trucker. He has a YouTube channel, and it's basically a cooking channel where he cooks on his truck. He made a cutting board that slides out from his closet, and he like makes these great meals in his truck that any of us would be proud to eat. And he's saving a ton of money eating on his truck, and he's lost some weight. He's getting some health benefits. That's something else. The owner of the company I went to work for, he's on a carnivore diet, and I'd never heard of it. But usually I tune out when people start talking about diets. It was actually interesting when he was talking about it, and I to the point that I started taking notes. And I don't know that I would ever follow it. It's a pretty tough. It doesn't seem tough to him diet, but it would be tough in the beginning to adjust to it. You guys know I started off weighing 312 pounds. Right now I weigh 245. I would like to get around 200, so I still got a little ways to go. And skinny people don't understand this. They think that you can lose weight as fast as you gain it, and it just doesn't happen that way unless you have a surgery or something. I had a teacher in high school that actually died because he lost weight too fast. It puts a strain on your heart when you lose it too fast. So it's all about doing it the correct way. And the doctors have made some changes to my medication, try to help me lose more weight. But it's definitely a process you go through. And let's be honest, you get that way through through a lot of ways. Mine, I had in '96, I had a really bad car accident. I pulled out in front of a semi when I was in an El Camino, and then I became a truck driver, which is a sedentary job that also causes you to gain weight. And so, you've got '96 to now. That's what, almost 30 years of gaining weight, and you're not going to lose it in 2 weeks. It's going to take some time, and there's going to be some after effects. I know a guy. Incidentally, his name was John. He doesn't watch the videos. I hadn't talked to him in years, but he lost so much weight that he actually had to have a skin removal surgery. And so it's skinny people that's never struggled with weight or anything. They just don't understand. Yeah, for the most part, you're right. It's all trash the last minute. However, sometimes a load will come up. For example, I pulled one out of Denver when I was at Dart that was volleyball equipment, and it was real light. And he said he had had 3 trucks scheduled, and all 3 of them had had something happen and didn't show up, broke down, didn't call him, things like that. One of them ran out of hours and was on a 34-hour break. And so he was just sitting there, and he paid me good to take that load because it was a last minute thing. And so, but you're right. Most of the time, it is the last minute loads are the ones nobody else wanted, unless there's a situation like what LJ June's talking about, where there's some good ones at the last minute because they need to move desperately. But right now, everybody's scrambling for good loads so hard that they don't sit there very long if they're good. All right, let's see here. Can you give a quick synopsis on how you trip plan average mile per hour, time spent for fuel, loading, etc.? Yeah, I've changed on this over the years. So it depends on the load, and it depends on the company. When I was at Swift, for example, most of my loads were drop and hook. So I had plenty of time to get it there. So I drove slow to try to save fuel. Now, we can debate if that's a good idea or not. I would say if you're on a mileage contract, it's very necessary because that's the only thing you can really control. If you're on a percentage contract, though, you kind of have to weigh everything. And so I base my miles per hour, especially now because I'm controlling the rate, more on the trip I'm doing. And time spent for fuel, I log it like I do. If it takes 8 minutes to fuel, I'm on duty for 8 minutes. If it takes 12 minutes to fuel, I'm on duty for 12 minutes. Usually doesn't take that long unless I'm on a slow pump or something. Loading and unloading, and this will create a whole debate. I know. I'm just telling you how I do it. I log backing into the dock, checking in, all of that. And then when I go in the sleeper berth, I log in the sleeper berth. And I know some companies don't want you to do that. Some say it's okay. Here's the way it really goes in the DOT regulations. DOT regulations say that you could go in the sleeper because that's where you're at's in the sleeper, and you're relieved of responsibility for the load while they're unloading it. However, if your company says you must be on duty, that's stricter than DOT requirements. So you have to do what your company says. And so, uh, hopefully, not getting myself in a lot of trouble, I would encourage you to check with your log department and see what their policy is on logging loading time and unloading time. Now, if I have to be on the dock to count stuff or strap stuff in or something like that, then that is on duty time. Also, if they require you to be like in a break room, or I call it a hot box, while they're loading you, you're supposed to be on duty for that too, because you're not free to do whatever you want while they're loading you and unloading you. So it's kind of a tough forum to answer that kind of question, but I'm trying to give you a general idea of how I approach it. Unless someone falls off a load, they are the loads that no one wants, and they can wait to move. Yeah, generally you're right. Yes, but said it was a warning first offense, clean record. Well, you got lucky. If you'd have got some new kid straight out of DOT school with trying to make a name for himself, you'd have had an adventure that day. Yeah, I would say I did LJ June's technique when I worked at Dart. I booked a lot of stuff last minute, but the market was totally different than it is right now. It and if I run into some of you at a truck stop, I'll show you. Right now, there's loads on the load board for $1.14 a mile, $1.20 a mile, and people are snatching them up. And rates are not ever going to go up as long as people are willing to pull them that cheap. And it just tells you that people don't know their numbers. And it's like Trucker CFO was talking about one time when he was on here. When the market was good, people that didn't know anything about trucking went out and bought a bunch of trucks. And now that the market's bad, they don't know their numbers and they're just booking stuff because they're afraid of going under. Well, what they're doing is holding the market down. I've said no to several loads this week. Um, I got sent one the other day that I had bid on, and they did a counter offer, and it was a ridiculous counter offer. And the owner called me. He said, "Hey, are you going to take that load?" And I said, "Nope." And no deal is better than a bad deal. You can lose money sitting at the truck stop you're at. You don't need to go pull freight down the highway and wear your equipment out to lose money. You can lose money at the truck stop you're at. So why take these terrible loads that guys are taking right now? No, I'm not at F2F anymore. I'm at a new company. I had an accident there, totaled my truck. I was off about 6 weeks, and I hit a grand slam. I'm at a great company now. I like the guy I'm working for. I went from a 2008 Volvo to a 2020 Kenworth T680. And with the exception of having a paid off truck, I've got everything else I want. And so I'm pretty happy. Um, having said that, F2F was pretty good to me. I still think they're a good company. They would like me to come back at some point. I'm not going to say never, but I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I would say it's unlikely based on how things are going here. Yeah, people don't believe this, but a lot of times when you get pulled over, that officer will pull your record. And if it's fairly clean, he's more likely to cut you a break than if you've got 7 speeding tickets on there or whatever. SFI isn't for the faint or weak. Yeah, it a lot of guys are drawn to it because it's no money down or well, not no money down. It's very little money down, usually like 3,500 or something like that. I know some of them are 8 or 10,000 down, but you really need to have a lot more money than that saved up because when they're hitting you for $1,200 a week and they want their money, if you break down and they go, oh, parts are on back order because you've got a brand new truck and you're going to sit there 3 weeks, you got to have some money saved up. And they say, well, but we'll give you a loaner truck in that situation. It's still by the time you travel and get the loaner truck and try to return it and get back to your truck, it just ends up being more trouble than it's worth. I'd rather them just get me a ticket home and call me when it's done, and I'll go do Uber or Lyft or something like that if I need to make a little extra money. So you have that in an accident. Well, a lot of people thought it was going to be the end of me when I had an accident. I can tell you it wasn't the end of me, but it definitely took away some of my bargaining power from a clean record. And I say clean, I had some speeding tickets, but they was a few years old. I used to work for a company that didn't care. It was all about get it there, and I'd let it run. They didn't care about the tickets. I was pulling groceries out of Lubbock. You had to get to the store, so that's what I did. And I got 2 of them in 2 months' time. I was right around. They put my mom on hospice, and she wasn't doing good, and my head wasn't in the game. And so, but they're old enough now. They're not on my record anymore. No, I let them have the Volvo. It got totaled out, and it was in Texarkana, Texas, and I live in Lubbock, so it'd have been almost 500 miles to transport it home. And I forget what the tow bill was. I seemed like it was either 16,000 or 34,000. I don't remember exactly, but it was a lot of money. It wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been anything I could use, especially with a Kenworth now. Amen to math. Yes, sir. One of DIY's friends, Cassius King, you'll see him in here sometimes. That's something he's really good at is talking numbers. And, he hits a home run pretty much every week, but it's not because he's lucky. It's not because he's got a big channel. It's because he knows his stuff. And if he quit that company he's at today, and I don't even know what company it is, he keeps it a secret. And he went to another company next door, he would still do it because the formula he's using will work anywhere. Now he might make more where he's at now, but he'll be successful anywhere. Once you learn the formula, you just make minor tweaks to it for wherever you're working, and it'll work anywhere. It was at the Tennessee scale. Back in the day, and I shouldn't say this, back in the day, I used to speed like crazy through Tennessee because even if I got caught, the speeding tickets were cheap, and the companies didn't care. They're like, "Ah, just mail it to us. We'll pay it. Keep going." It was before PSP and all of that, so we weren't worried about points or nothing. And half the states, if you just paid the ticket as soon as you got it, they didn't even put it on your record. So it's a different time now. I get it, but back then it was more of a Smokey and the Bandit type situation where it wasn't near as big a deal. Now, was it safe? Probably not. Would I still do it nowadays if I could? No, probably not. I'm lucky I lived through that, and it's fun to tell stories about. But yeah, it was definitely a different time. No, he did his the same way that Billy Gardell did, the one that did Mike and Molly, and the one that does Bob Hart's Abishola. They had that gastric bypass surgery, and you can lose a lot of weight real quick. But I also had a family member that had it done, and and if you just did what they say do, you could lose the weight without the surgery. They shrink your stomach to the point where you could eat very little. So you're basically starving yourself. They say no soft drinks, and they say exercise. If every one of us ate a fourth of what we do now and we exercised, we'd lose weight without the surgery. And that's why so many people that get the surgery eventually gain the weight back. And the family member I'm talking about, she gained a lot of her weight back because uh, the same habits are still there after the surgery, unless you make a lifestyle change. And that's one thing that owner was talking about when he was telling me about his carnivore diet. He was talking about a lifestyle change. He was going, the first 2 months, you can't cheat at all because you're trying to retrain your mind. He said, now, he said, if we go somewhere and they're having birthday cake or something, I can have a piece, but then I got to get right back on my diet. And it was really interesting to hear him talk. Like I said, normally I hate talking about I hate talking about those kind of things because everybody lectures you, and you're doing it all wrong and they're doing it all right. But the way he did it, it was really interesting, and it was good information. And the way Scorpion Trucker does it when he's cooking on his show, it doesn't look like he's on a diet or he's eating healthy food. You're going, dang, I'd order that in a restaurant. Those valves that feed the coolant to the APU sometimes get clogged with corrosion. Yeah, that's what I was looking at right before I went on the air. I was looking at all the work they did on the truck prior to me getting it and seeing if they messed with any of that stuff. But 9 times out of 10, the valves are just shut, and so I need to check that first. And the reason you shut the valves, for those that don't know, is it'll make your air conditioner blow colder in the sleeper during the hot months. Now in the winter, when it's cold, you want the valves open so that you got heat, of course. You're not so worried about air then. But it's one of those deals. I don't think about it till it's 40 degrees outside and I got to go to sleep. And then I'm like, it's cold. I don't want to mess with it. But I don't think about it during the day when I'm running the AC. And I just need to, maybe I'll do it after the show today. I'll get out there and fiddle with it a little bit and see if I can find the valves, make sure they're on. And then if they are, I'll look for a clogged line or something like that. I'm only booked out till Thursday. Yeah, you still got time. Today's Thursday, so that's a week out. A week out, that's pretty good. The other problem with booking yourself out way far is sometimes, especially with like JB Hunt, some of them, it'll say not confirmed and they don't have appointment times yet. And the appointment times end up being different than what they originally thought they would be as far as dates and stuff. Also, loads will cancel sometimes that are booked way out like that. At Dart, I had a few that would cancel because I'd booked myself out 2 weeks at Dart. And so, as I said, if one falls off, then you got a domino effect. You got to find something else in place of it, or you got to try to get off that load, all the other loads. And the guy I'm working for now, he frowns on getting off loads once you commit to him. So it could be a precarious situation. Yeah, it's I agree with you, LJ June. There's not really a right way or a wrong way to do it. If you're happy with the results you're getting, then keep doing what you're doing. If you're not, try be willing to try other things. And that's one thing that owner and I have talked about. He said if he saw me doing something that he thought I could improve on, he'd mention it to me, and then I could decide if I wanted to do it or not. And he asked me if I'd be okay with that, and I'm like, sure. I get constructive criticism all the time, especially on this channel. As long as it's respectful, I don't care. Tell me I'm doing everything wrong. I'll listen to what you say. And if I feel like I'm failing in that area, I might try one of your suggestions. If I feel like I'm doing good in that area, I might not. For example, somebody suggested in the Tuesday show that I should get the Centromatics. I've heard good and bad about them, and but I'm going to do some more research on them. If they'll do the things they claim, then why wouldn't I get them? Besides buying trucks, they bought them overpriced. Yeah, yeah, that is true. A lot of people did, and even the lease purchase companies. I overpaid for my Swift truck. They uh, they marked them up because they said market conditions, and so we're all a little guilty of it if we bought a truck during that time. But now they're starting to come down, and the longer you can wait to buy one, theoretically, the better off you're going to be. Who knows what the market's going to do? It's crazy right now, but freight volumes do seem to be coming up a little bit, and things slowly seem to start getting better. Um, I feel like by the end of the summer it'll be better. A lot of guys are saying by the end of the year, but nobody really knows. We'll find out together. Michael says his first driving job was 18 cents a mile. Yeah, mine was 20 at Swift in 96. I was making 20 cents a mile. In 2001, when I left them, I was making 28 and a half cents a mile, which by today's standards, we all go, oh, that's terrible. But to get 8.5 cents worth of raises in 4.5 years, that's not bad. I gained my weight back after surgery, lost 150 pounds in 5 months. Then about 5 years later, I started gaining weight again. Yeah, I don't see how John ever gains weight. He owns a bunch of property. He has a bunch of livestock, a bunch of farm animals. He has hay and all of that. So when he's not driving a truck, he's out there doing good old hard manual labor. And I imagine it's easy for him to stay skinny. How's the company you're leased to? Are they keeping you busy and making you money? So the company I'm leased to, I'm self-dispatching. I'm picking my own loads and negotiating my own rates. I'm actually even signing the rate confirmations. Um, and so and so I'm doing it all. And the answer to your question, yeah, I'm staying busy, and yes, I'm making money. I did okay this week. It was a little below what I normally did, but I took a 34-hour break, and I was at that orientation, and all in all, I think it was a pretty good week. I'm already on track to surpass that next week, so I think I'll be able to give you a better answer, in a month or two, because when guys tell me, "Oh, I'm making all this money," I say, "Send me 3 weeks worth or 3 months worth of settlements," because you need to figure home time in there, you need to figure truck services in there, things like that. But yeah, right now I couldn't be happier. Occasionally, we've had a hiccup. I mentioned about one at the start of the show today, but for the most part, it's been great. He's Speed Shifter's back. He had a phone call. Good deal, man. We're just going along like we always do. I appreciate you being here. I think the freight market will be back by the end of the year. Yeah, that seems to be everybody's general thoughts. I'm more of an optimist. I think it's going to happen a little quicker than that, but the truth is nobody really knows. I was local making 19 an hour city and 52 cents in 2005. Wow, that's great. That is great. What part of the country do you live in? Because that has a lot to do with it too. In Lubbock, if you're a local driver, you're making 12 bucks an hour. I know of a place in Lubbock that pays 10 bucks an hour. It just it depends where you live. I book two at a time just in case the market change or something happens to the truck. I don't look bad. We work with the same brokers and customers. Well, there you go. That goes back to what I was saying about having a strategy for wherever you work. But I sit in a truck most of the time. My wife does 90% of the work on the farm while I drive. Well, there you go. Yep, I got to meet John. I've met John. I met his wife. I met one of his sons, and they're great people. He's really blessed to have that family structure there. It's good that they can, it takes. Um, and another channel did a video about this recently. It takes a special kind of wife to keep the house down while you're out on the road, especially if you got kids at home. Um, they're putting up with a whole different kind of stress than what we realize out here on the road sometimes. So kudos to the ones at home that are taking care of everything. I was just thinking about John. He called me the other day and he was on his way home to bale hay all weekend. Yeah, he was going to bale hay like Saturday and Sunday and hop in the truck like early Monday morning. And so I know they've got a good teamwork thing going where he does certain things around there and they fill in the gaps and it works really good for him. I wish my voice would hold up through the show. Hey, American Trucker, thanks for coming in. I'm glad you're here, my friend. How they make money when people taking these $1.40 a mile load. Well, some of them ain't even $1.40. I'm not kidding you. I saw one today for 75 cents a mile. Now, most guys will tell you it costs them between $1 and $1.10 a mile to operate their truck. If you're hauling a load for 75 cents a mile, you're losing, what is that, 35 cents a mile, let's say. You do 600 miles a day. That's what, almost $200 a day you're losing just to pull that load. Sit in the truck stop. You're not going to spend $200 a day in the truck stop. Sit there until you get a decent load. Now, you get up around $1.80, $1.90. If you have to pull one of those occasionally, all right, you're still making money. But at $1.40, when you're going to net 25 cents or 20 cents a mile, I was netting that as a company driver back in 96. Then the argument of I make more as a company driver starts to become true. And it just comes down to some guys don't have a clue what their numbers are. One guy was telling me on the phone today that he asked a driver about his numbers. The guy didn't have a clue what his average fuel economy was, what his cost per mile was, nothing. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm having to refigure mine because I got whole new charges here and haven't really run enough miles to figure it all out yet. But within the next week or two, I'll have those numbers after I've run a little bit, and I'll base everything off of that. Ah, you're in Atlanta. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in Atlanta, though. And that's what was funny. That's what's upset a lot of people. Swift was telling people that Atlanta wasn't a good freight market. And Atlanta's one of the best freight markets in the country. That and Indianapolis is another one. There's tons of freight that comes out of Atlanta area. It's the little suburbs and stuff. There's a lot that comes out of Indianapolis as well. Build relationships now while it's slow and down. So when the market comes back up, you should be in good shape. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier about you might not normally be a people person. And I had a driver tell me, well, I'm not going to kiss up to them. I'm doing them a favor hauling their load. They're paying me. I'm working. I don't need to be nice to them. They just need to give me loads. And maybe they do in the ideal world, but that's not how things work. People want to be good to good people. So if you're a nice person, they want to be good to you. But if you're a butthole and demanding, they don't want to work with you. They just want to get you off the phone. And so, even while you're building those relationships, if you don't know somebody there, have a welcoming voice that they want to talk to you. That's one thing that Tim Back, when you get him on the phone, his voice, and he used to be a dispatcher, but his voice is friendly. He's got a welcoming voice, and if I was a dispatcher, I'd want to give him a good load because of his voice, even if I didn't know the guy. And but if he was an old grouch like I would have been earlier today, I'd be like, no, I ain't got nothing. So keep that in mind. I did a video a couple of years ago about this, and it was called "Would You Do Business with You?" And it was basically, are you the kind of person that brokers and shippers and trucking companies want to deal with, or are you the kind of guy they don't want to deal with? And I was talking about hygiene. I was talking about being on time, all of those things. That'd be a good video for some of you to check out if you've never seen it. Would you do business with you? Yeah, Chicago's a good freight area. I try to avoid Chicago just because when you get in downtown Chicago, you can get yourself in a pickle if you're not real careful. But the suburbs, Bolingbrook, and all of that, I was there every week when I worked at Roadrunner. Fly Rabbit says Columbus is good too. Yeah, it is. American saying hi to James. James saying hi to American. Sorry, the cough is coming back. It is freaking hot today. I'm in Iowa right now. So, what else y'all got that you want to talk about tonight? We've been going a little over an hour and a half. My voice has been going for about the last 30 minutes. The right way to truck. I worked at Roadrunner for a week. I did a little over a year there. It was frustrating. Matter of fact, my wife was talking about them today. They uh, they had some good people there, but you had to drag them, and I mean, everything was screwed up, disorganized, not like it should be. They will admit their payroll software is way out of date, and it was I spent almost as much time dealing with them and getting them caught up and on the same page as I did driving the truck. But as recently as last couple of weeks, they've contacted me. They'd still like us to work it out where I went back to work there, but I don't think they're a good fit for me now, just because um, I was running like a little over 4,000 miles a week, and because it's drop and hook at both ends, you can turn loads quickly. But in this truck, I'd wear it out too quick. I'd wear it out way before it paid off. And their freight rates weren't really good enough to justify it. I'm really in a lot better situation right now than probably I've ever been anywhere. I'm in a dry van, and I'm currently in I believe this one's a 2014. They're going to get me a newer one. He had one, but something was wrong with the brakes, and he was wanting to get that dealt with first. And he's supposed to have two or three, I think 2 or 3 newer ones coming in or brand new. And he said he'd give me one of those when they came in. I'm content with this trailer. The only thing wrong with it, the little slider on the tandems, it's kind of finicky sometimes. I'm used to it because Dart used to have some trailers like that. I had to fight with it a little bit this morning, but I got it. But I'll be glad when he gets an air slide in. Looks like Yellow Freight might be on its way to shutting down. I'm surprised they've lasted as long as they have. They're I don't want to say they're too big to fail, but I don't think they'll actually close their doors. I think somebody will buy them out. I learned a lot watching your videos. Thanks for sharing. Well, I appreciate that. Um, I do. That's like one of the biggest compliments I get. Thank you for that. Yeah, I brought this up with the guy the other day. It's kind of like prayer. Um, Most people don't pray unless they got a problem. So then when they pray to God, they got a checklist. Hey God, I need you to fix this, fix that. I need money, and heal this family member, and do this and do that. And then once those things are taken care of, God doesn't hear from them again. And then the next time it's the same thing. God, I need this, this, and this. And if you'll give me this, I'll start going to church and I'll pray every day and blah, blah, blah. Well, a lot of people do their dispatchers the same way and their company the same way. Mr. Dispatcher or Mrs. Dispatcher, I need a load home. Mr. or Mrs. Dispatcher, I don't run this area. I don't drive at dark. I don't do any live unloads or live unloads. I don't do multi stop loads. But then, the dispatcher accommodates them, does whatever they want. But then when the dispatcher needs something, well, I'm not helping them. I don't do that. And sometimes it's got to be a two-way street. They're going to be a lot more likely to help you if you're going to help them sometimes. So, and I've heard another YouTuber talk about this. If you're sitting at a terminal and they're saying we don't have any freight, walk in there and see if they got some local runs you can do. Granted, you're not going to get rich doing them, and it may not be beneficial. But if you're low in hours, if you've only got 4 or 5 hours left on the week, you might could do that and get a little bit extra income instead of just sitting at the truck stops doing over no loads. And they're going to remember that. And then when a load does pop up, they're going to reward you for doing that local work. Again, it's not kissing butt, but it's I'll scratch your back if you scratch my back type thing. It's try to help out a little bit and see if that gets rewarded. If it don't, you don't ever have to do it again. But you might be surprised when you have a good attitude how things change for you. I went to pick up my truck in Chicago and no one could find the key for 2 hours. Oh wow, that really sucks. You would think like a lot of these companies, and I'm not sure which company you're at, but a lot of them have 6 or 8 master keys that'll open all the trucks. And you would think they'd have something like that, or they'd have the key code and they could just make another one real quick. Heading to West Chicago. I was just there yesterday. Oh, yeah. Uh, Yellow Swift. How's that sound? There you go. I my mind immediately made some jokes that'd be really funny, but I can't tell them on here. But yeah, I could think some funny company name combinations if Yellow wanted to merge with somebody. Drive-in 2021 gunmetal gray. Well, there you go. Is it the big one, the 870, or is it the 760? Which one is it? Be thankful for any bad situation because God is teaching me something. Yeah, it if you can if you can like was who was it, Benjamin Franklin, that said um, I think that was who invented the light bulb. He said he didn't fail 1,000 times inventing the light bulb. He just found 999 ways that didn't work. And how you look at things can have a lot to do with how things turn out for you as well. Yeah, I did that back in the day. When I left them in 2001, I would still pull doubles occasionally, and I didn't know they still had any. But that's cool. You're still doing that. Load got canceled. Just got back home. Time for a 3-day weekend. Man, Joe, you got it made. Let's see. What could Joe do with his 3-day weekend? He could make some truck. No, you can't make trucker videos because you're not at the shop. Well, enjoy your time off, man. I'm happy for you. I'm at Charlotte, OC. There's a record number of SFI trucks sitting here been turned back in. Yeah, and there's probably a whole host of reasons for that. Not all of that's SFI's fault. Some of it's the company guys leased onto. Some of it's the guys didn't know what they were doing. They had unrealistic expectations. But I may be recommending SFI for guys that need trucks soon because if they got that many, they'll be cheap. They'll be doing lower down payments and stuff to try to get them back on the road again. Okay, I misunderstood you. Yeah, Roadrunner, I remember in Lancaster, they got a whole bunch of trucks when they separated from Rich Logistics. And they called me because I was what they called a road recruiter there. And they said, "Hey, we're about to have this program, and you know, we're going to put guys in trucks, and they're going to pay on them like I think they said 12 or 18 months, and then we're going to have a balloon payment of just a few $100. Make it easy for guys to own a truck." We were like, "Wow, that sounds great. Everybody's going to want to work here." And then the trucks come in, and they look like they had come out of a wrecking yard. They're like, we're going to have to refurbish them a little. And then they ended up hauling a bunch of them off to the junkyard. So that program didn't work as well as they thought it was going to. You are correct. It was Edison. See, my brain is scrambled still. Hello, Trucker Todd. Been watching you a while. First time I've caught you live. Well, I'm glad you're here, William Scooby. Thanks for coming in. Have a good working relationship with the dispatcher. Yeah, the one I had at Swift was awesome. The one I had at Dart this last time was okay. I didn't have to deal with her a lot because I was doing the spot market thing. The one at Roadrunner was really, really good. Really good. And the previous time at Dart, where I was there 4.5 years, that guy was great. They ended up firing him, but he was a super dispatcher. He was really old, like 70 something years old, but he had used to own a trucking company and stuff, and he knew his stuff, and he knew what I liked, and we worked very well together. Um, as a matter of fact, when I went back to Dart, I wanted him again, and that's when I found out he had been fired. But that's the key when you get in with these companies that are dispatching you. You got to get somebody you can work with. What devices do you use in your cockpit? GPS, CB, dash cam, all of the above. I've got a GPS that's a Garmin 800 that a friend of mine and a viewer of mine. He started off as a viewer, became a friend. He gave it to me, and then I've got one of the original Cobra 29 Bluetooths. And then when I was at Swift, I bought a Samsara dash cam that nobody has access to but me, not even my wife. And so that's what I run in here. Trying to think of anything else. I've got a tablet that runs the ELD, and then I've got two phones that one of them is for the brokers. The other phone has two numbers on it. One of them's a personal number, and one of them's for all the YouTube stuff. And I've got some of the devices Bluetoothed into my radio in here, and I've got two of them Bluetoothed into my headset so that I can take phone calls and stuff while I'm driving and not be in violation of the hands-free policy. I heard about the bridge near Philadelphia that collapsed. I haven't heard about that, but that is bad. I hope there's not a lot of fatalities. When did that happen? But I've always found a relationship with your dispatcher is the most important thing if they won't fight for you, it'll make your life a living hell. Yeah, I think there's an extreme to that. There was a couple of guys at Dart that was suggesting buying gift cards for everybody in the office and things like that. I don't think that I subscribe to that philosophy, but if you had one that you're pretty good friends with, I could see getting them something at Christmas, a gift card or something at Christmas. But doing the whole office staff, I think that just reeks of brown nosing. It's on I-95. Well, that's another area. They talked about the one on 40 in Oklahoma earlier. Now we're here in I-95 in Pennsylvania. There's a bridge that collapsed. Anybody going that way, you may want to do a little trip planning research before you head that way. Volvo 760. Yeah, that's what Fly Rabbit had at when he was at Swift, and it was a really nice truck. He used to get compliments on it everywhere he went. Just happened earlier this week. Yeah, I got to get caught up on the news. I used to do recorded videos and kind of talk about news and give my opinion, things like that. I haven't been able to do them much lately just because of the constraints of time. But if you run the load boards correctly, you do have a little more free time. So hopefully I can get back to doing some of those things. Hey, Johnny Walker, thanks for being here. 230 a mile to break even. That sounds a little high, but I guess it's possible depending on what you're doing. That would mean at 230 a mile. Let me get out the calculator here. I've heard some crazy numbers over the years, but that sounds about double what it should be. And it depends what you're counting in there. Are you counting paying yourself? Because if you're just talking truck expenses, you're saying 230 a mile. Let's say you ran 2,500 miles a week average. You're saying you have to make 57.50 a week gross just to break even. And I don't have to make nowhere near that to break even. And I've got all the expenses you've got, theoretically. So typically for most guys, it's around $1.05, $1.10 a mile. Depends on your fuel discounts and things like that. I figure everything in that except what you're paying yourself personally, because everybody has different financial needs at home. It happened on Monday on I-95. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check it out. I hadn't even seen any videos about it. There's been some talk about me hiring maybe an intern or something to look up news articles and do some of my peripheral work for me that I just don't have time to do. And I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I'm getting pretty close to where I could use somebody, 15, 20 hours a week to do things like that for me. And so who knows what's coming later this year. When we start selling merchandise and stuff like that, we may definitely need somebody at that point. All righty, what else y'all got? I can't believe it. Time flies when you're having fun. We're almost at the 2 hour mark, and we've still got a crowd. We got 56 people watching, which is more. I think we're up near the highest we've been all night. So we can talk about anything y'all want to talk about tonight. I'm just going to sit here and eat some cold French fries. Hey James, have they said how many people died in that, if anybody? When you guys see stories like this, email them to me at todd@truckertodd.net. That way I can get them all out and make people aware of it, and it'll save people that might be in the area. So if y'all see something like that, please email it to me, a link to it, so I can read about it. James said thumbs up. Yeah, please, if Earlier we had somebody donate some money, and I appreciate that. But if you can't do that, I understand it's a tough market. At least give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Those things are free to do, and that's another way you can really help me a lot. And sharing this video, that also helps. Tell your friends, have them join you in here. That also helps a lot. Can you take your truck to California? This truck is CARB compliant. It's eligible to go to California. However, the company I'm working for has asked me not to go to California or Oregon at this point. When he gets bigger, maybe, but as for now, he doesn't want anybody under his authority to go to California or Oregon, and so for now, this truck can't go there, but it is legally able to. Well, I say legally able to. If it had, if it was set up for that state. Oops. Oh, the driver was killed. That really stinks. James saying thumbs up again. Tanker explosion is what took the bridge out. Man, y'all are making me sad. Matthew Miller agrees it was just one person. And yep, it was the driver. Well, at least more people wasn't hurt, but I hate that the driver lost his life. There's a family grieving for sure. A fuel tanker crashed under the I-95 overpass. Fire destroyed the overpass, and unfortunately, the driver didn't make it. Yeah, that's tough. Thanks for that update too, Manny. And James is agreeing. So we've got the basics of what happened, and I'm surprised that one flew under the radar and I missed it. I used to get up every morning and look at several websites and come up with stories and stuff like that. And I used to put videos out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And since I started doing these lives, I got a little lazy and I hadn't put out as many recorded videos as I used to. But I'd still like to put out one or two a week. And if you guys will send me news stories like that, I'll try to get that done more frequently. Hey, Todd, love the channel. Thank you, William. I appreciate you being here, man. I really do. Opinion on Chinese brand tires, Samsung, Double Coin, and Iron Man. Honestly, I believe you get what you pay for. And if I was strapped for cash, I might do that. If I was super strapped for cash, I might even do a retread. But if I can afford it, if things are going well, I'm going to get some good tires, some Michelin, some Bridgestone. I'm not a big fan of Goodyear, but I know there's people that swear by them. It's kind of what you're into. But I would probably do Michelin or Bridgestone if I had my rathers. Some people are saying Sunday, some are saying Monday. Yeah, somebody mentioned it earlier that they're having some financial problems. Yeah, Yokohamas are good too. I forgot about them, but they're usually pricey. Of course, it goes back to what I said about you get what you pay for. Oh yeah, the highway was empty. I find that hard to believe. When has I-95 ever been empty? Yeah, no, that's a totally different deal. As a trailer tire, yeah, I might try a Chinese tire on the trailer. Heck, there's guys around where I live that sell tires on the internet on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. On a trailer tire, I might even consider some of those sometimes if they were cheap enough. But a lot of times they're not much cheaper than what you could buy new ones for. And I would trust new ones a lot more than I would trust some guy on Facebook. All right, let me remove that comment so y'all can see the website. The website, I don't mention it enough, but it's a good way. You can message me from there. It has an instant messenger option. You can reach Trucker CFO there, which I've got a shirt on. You can contact Avery about getting a truck like I did. There's a lot of great links on that website. So if you hadn't been there lately or you've never been there, go check out truckertodd.net and hopefully you'll find something on there. My Mudflap link is there. My ES Advantage card app link is there. All of those things are there. I'm still saving to go to Russia to my love. Well, there you go. What's a trip to Russia cost right now? Yeah, it is sad. Anytime I see a bad wreck, I saw one the other day that a truck had gone off in the woods and burnt down, and I immediately thought about the family. Even if the guy's not dead, and I'm pretty sure he was, uh, he's going to be in a hospital with severe burns, and more than likely his family's about to experience some financial hardships. And anytime I see a bad accident, that's the first thing I think about is the injured. Bring the website back up for a second. Let y'all check that out. Also, you can email me directly if you don't like websites. Todd at truckertodd.net. That gets to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Can U.S. citizens even go to Russia right now? Yeah, I think you can. I don't think there's any travel bans. I probably wouldn't go to Ukraine right now. It's probably not a real safe place to be. But I think you can still go to Russia. But in judgment calls, I'd probably wait till this war is over before I went to either place. Yeah, there is a Trucker Todd Facebook page, and from time to time I put the link up. It's in the description of this video. You can join me on Facebook. You can join me on Instagram. I have a TikTok page. What else have I got? LinkedIn. There's lots of ways you can get your Trucker Todd fix. So you guys go check me out on those other platforms. Um, Sometimes I'll put some extra stuff here that doesn't make it onto the YouTube channel, but a lot of times I just post the videos and stuff. So if you miss a notification or something on YouTube, you might catch it there. Now you're talking. That's actually on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go on a cruise, and now I don't know if I want to go on a cruise with 50 or 60 truck drivers, but maybe I do. I don't know. It might be fun. So, but yeah, that's I don't know how quick I'm going to be able to do it, but I've always wanted to go on a cruise. I think that'd be fun. 5 a.m. in the morning. Oh yeah, I bet there wasn't a lot of traffic, but that probably stunk for a lot of people that had to be at work at 6 or 7 in the morning. Imagine running out of your house. I'm barely going to make it to work on time, and you get out there and the bridge is out. You call your boss. You say, "Hey, I'm going to be late to work. The bridge is out." Yeah, sure it is, Smith. Get your butt up here. I'm sick of you being late every day. Man, that would stink. Note to self, cold McDonald's fries are terrible. Terrible, I tell you. All right, what else y'all got? We're probably going to wrap it up soon if y'all don't have anything else you want to talk about tonight. I promised a few of you I'd call you back after the show, and I'm going to do my best to remember to call everybody back that I promised I would. If if you're pretty sure I'm going to forget you or miss you, send me a text and remind me that I'm supposed to call you tonight, and I'll try to get you called before I go to sleep. Generally, I agree. It depends on the McDonald's. Some of them I've been to lately don't put enough salt on the fries, but I'm not a big salt eater anyway. Um, So yeah, I there's so many McDonald's out here that I try to avoid them, but I come rolling in here at the last minute before I had to get set up for the show, and rather than try to cook something real quick, I just ran in there and grabbed something real quick. Yeah, I do some. I'm nowhere near where Scorpion Trucker is. I'm kind of a microwave chef. At some point, I want to get like an air fryer or something on the truck. But I do cook some on the truck, and I do eat out some. I try to do a combination of both. Um, Mainly because after you sit in a truck by yourself all day, you just kind of want to interact with the public a little bit. It's nice to get out and stretch your legs. Now I realize I'm interacting with a lot of you on the phone, but it's just nice to maybe eat out once a day and then do the rest on the truck. To Moscow by Turkish Airlines, 1250. Well, that's a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. Yeah, Speed Shifter, check out Scorpion Trucker's channel. He has a lot of good ideas about how to cook on the truck. We all need to do more of it. The problem is now Walmart's getting to where they don't want you parking a truck in most of their parking lots. So it used to be real easy to go to a Walmart and do your grocery shopping, and now it's getting a lot harder. You got to park at a truck stop and take an Uber or Lyft, and time you do all that, it's just as cheap to eat out. A lot of you guys, and I've done it some, will bring food from the house for the first few days when you're back on the road, and that works pretty well as well. Yeah, the problem is if three truck drivers went in the cabin in the captain's bay to talk to him, the three truck drivers would start arguing about the correct way to drive, and they'd never get to talk to the captain. Uh, and then the drivers, because drivers don't want to help each other, they'd start throwing each other overboard instead of trying to help each other. The cruise would be the Jerry Springer episode. Everybody be fighting on there. What is your fuel mileage looking like on that pack car? It's been real hard to gauge because just like yesterday, I sat for 2 hours. I've been pulling some really heavy loads, but I'm finding myself right around between 8.5 and 9. And I've been running pretty fast too, 72, 73 miles an hour. Um, I don't have any doubt that I could get it above 10 when I slow down and when I mix in some lighter loads. But that's where I'm at right now. Today I was right around 8.5, but it's usually closer to that 9 mark. Yeah, I wondered about that. I'm glad you brought that up because they have the crock pots at the truck stop, and it's got these rubber band things that hold the lid on while you're going down the road. And I wondered if that would, I wondered how well that would work. But you're saying I guess it'll spill if you do that, and you can't really strap it in because then the heat would melt your straps. I guess if you had a passenger or co-driver or something, they could kind of make sure it stayed upright while you were driving. I hadn't had any experience with those crock pots at the truck stop. Maybe some of y'all could tell me how well they work or don't work. William says, "Yep, I can't resist making a truck driver joke." And I could see, but it gives you some mental pictures. I could see three portly truck drivers in the captain's bay arguing over who was the best driver and who knew the safest route to get there. And oh man, the comedy would ensue, I bet. And I can just imagine a bunch of truck drivers on a ship. Can you imagine all the pee bottles that would line the halls? An electric pressure cooker. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those. I got a nice refrigerator 2 weeks ago with a nice size freezer. Yeah, Fly Rabbit has that new Peterbilt, and his has a real nice freezer on it. His refrigerator, it's a lot bigger than what was in the Kenworths and Peterbilts before. And I know I saw a video of a YouTuber the other day that he bought one of those second coolers like they have in the truck stops and put it up in the passenger side floorboard. And he kept drinks in there because he said time he got his food and everything, there wasn't enough room in just one refrigerator. I would think it'd be a pretty big power draw to have two, but I've got this APU, so I'm sure it would work. All right, let's see what we got here. Anything else? I took a piece of plywood, hooks in it, and I bungee strapped my crock pot to the plywood. A bungee strap. Oh, there you go. There you go. My uncle built me a platform that goes on the top bunk, and I had a second refrigerator up there at one time, and I ran a strap around the bed to hold it, and then I had another strap that went across the front to keep the doors from coming open if I had to hit the brakes or something, and it worked really good. Of course, it's up there on the top bunk. It takes up a lot of space, and I got it full of stuff now. When I do make it home again, I got to get some stuff off here. I threw everything on and left. We got that clean inspection, and it was on like a Tuesday or on a Monday, and then Tuesday I had to leave so I could be at orientation Thursday morning. So nothing was unpacked or nothing. We just threw it in the truck and I took off as quick as I could. That's what Nick says it takes for the company to make anything with 10 trucks. Well, maybe that would be a better question for the owner of the company I work for. It all depends on what his overhead is and how his business is structured. But it should be the reverse. The more trucks he has, the more he's able to spread that cost out, and it should be cheaper for him, not more expensive. For example, your mega carriers, that's how they make their money. It's called width. They might make 10 cents a mile on loads, but they have so many trucks that 10 cents a mile is a lot of money. Whereas if you've got one truck and you only make 10 cents a mile, you can't make any money like that. And so I would think that might be his target rate, what he likes to get, but I find it hard to believe that that's his break even rate. Because in this market, it'd be tough to get that. It'd be tough to break even every week, much less make a profit. I was just a regular crock pot from Walmart. Well, there you go. They're getting cheap too. Entertaining the masses. Walmart special. Where would we be without Walmart? You know, Walmart's that one store that everybody goes, "Oh, I hate Walmart," and every week we go back. It Nobody says, "Oh, I love Walmart. It's my favorite store," but we're all guilty of shopping there. I get my prescriptions there, just because if I got to get them filled out on the road, it's usually pretty easy to find a Walmart. Electric 2-burner cooktop. Yeah, it'd be real easy in this truck to get one of those because it's got this swing out desk, and it's pretty good size. I could cook quite a bit on it. I'm really liking this truck. And William Scooby also has the 2-burner cooktop. I think that's a popular way to go. I don't know why you'd need the 2-burner though. I guess if you was cooking a really fancy meal, if you just got one of the little 1-burner ones like they have in the camping department at Walmart with the little propane tank on the side of it, I would think that would work too. But I don't know. I know the ones that you see that you plug into the cigarette lighter, like the skillet and stuff, they don't seem like they get that hot. Yes, I've got, I believe it's an 1800 watt inverter. I got the wall plugins in here just like your house. It's a pretty nice setup. Fearless overloaded his inverter and smoke started coming out from under the bunk. Make sure your inverter can handle it. Yeah, that's something when you go to Walmart, we probably need to mention this for safety. And you're looking at an appliance that gives off any kind of heat or cooling abilities, you need to find out what the watt rating is for it and add it with all the other things in your truck and make sure you're not exceeding the capabilities of your inverter. So, if you're using something that's say 1500 watts, and I said I got an 1800 watt inverter, I probably don't want to be running the laptop and the TV and the, video game system all at the same time. Maybe I turn some of those things off while I'm cooking and then turn them back on after I finish cooking. Um, you want to be safe, and trucks do burn down out here on the road. A good friend of mine had one that burnt down while he was going in California. So just be careful. Take a few minutes and find out what the wattage is on whatever device you're considering buying. And it's not always on the box. Sometimes you got to do a little Google research, but try to have a rough idea. You guys might remember my laptop pulls like 400 watts, and I didn't think that. I was trying to use a 140 watt inverter, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it to charge. Well, I looked up the power rating on my laptop, and suddenly I understood why things wasn't working. So I went out and bought a larger inverter, and then my problem went away. And that's what some of you may have to do. You may have to get a bigger inverter if you've got a lot of high draw electronic things in your truck. All right, William Scooby, have a great night. Thanks for coming in, and check us out tomorrow on the replay or when you wake up. I'm sure we're fixing to wrap it up pretty soon too, but you never know what you'll see. Howdy, Glorified. Thanks for being here. The tires from China, core separation is a big problem with them. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want any Chinese steer tires, and let's just be honest. There's a reason they're cheaper. They got to cut corners somewhere. Now, maybe it's in labor when they're putting them together. Maybe there's not as many steel cords inside the tire. Maybe they're using a cheaper rubber compound that's not going to last as long. Just know there's a reason they're cheaper. And if you have a problem with that tire, going with a big brand name, your Goodyear, your Yokohama, your Bridgestone, you're probably going to have better success getting a warranty claim done if you're with one of those. I've never claimed to be a tire expert. I have a decent amount of knowledge, but there's definitely guys out here that know more about tires than me. I just tell you guys what I do. I cook on the catwalk. That used to be a thing. You don't see it so much now these days, but a lot of guys used to carry a bag of charcoal and one of those little barbecue grills on their catwalk, and they'd bungee cord it in back there. And especially on the weekend, if they couldn't deliver till Monday, they'd set up that barbecue grill in front of their truck in the truck stop, and they'd get out there and grill. And a lot of times they'd put up lawn chairs and there'd be music playing. Now, if you did it, somebody'd call in, snitch on you, and try to get the truck stop to throw you out of there. And so it's different times we're in now. But you guys ain't gonna believe this, and I know I sound old when I say this, but it used to be a whole lot of fun to be a truck driver. Now it's work, but it still can be fun. Hey, bud, you still with Swift? No, I left Swift. Oh gosh, back in May, I think. I had a Volvo that was sitting at the house paid off, and I hopped in that truck and went and ran the spot market. I cooked pork chops, chicken, potatoes, broccoli, and asparagus. All of that sounds good except asparagus. I can't get over the smell of asparagus. If I could, I'd probably like it. All right, what else we got here? Did I miss anybody? Want to remind y'all that in the ticker below my video is also the phone number for Trucker CFO. If you need help with your taxes or you need a good accountant, give him a call. Tell him you've seen it on here. And also, Avery's number there. You guys know I got a really good 2020 T680 that I'm very happy with from him. And he can help you get a truck too, even if you've got credit issues. So sometimes that information's easier to get to than checking it out in the description or whatever. And that's why I put it there. But you guys check them out when you get a chance. All righty, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Fearless says, going to get dinner. Take care. Y'all be safe. Keep the rubber side. Burn rubber, not your soul. There you go. Ah, yeah, we almost missed this. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I know it's a little early. I probably won't be back on the air before Father's Day, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And on that positive note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Yeah, thanks, Raymond or Ramon. I appreciate that. And good night to all of you. We'll see y'all Tuesday night, unless y'all send me some good news stories, and then I'll do a recorded video. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.